Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Success Grid podcast. Your host Hussein Talib here. I have a special guest today, Karen Briscoe. She is the creator of the 5-minute success concept. She regularly speaks on a national and local level. She is the host of the 5-minute success podcast. She has completed the John Maxwell team certification program for coaching, speaking, and training. Karen, how are you? Welcome to the grid.
Oh, thank you for having me. And I'm delighted to be having a conversation with you and your Success Grid community.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here. So tell us a little bit about yourself because this concept of 5 minutes is kind of intriguing. So tell us a little about your story. Where were you and where are you now?
The 5-minute success came out of I'm in the residential real estate space in the Northern Virginia, Washington, D.C. metro region, and had gone through the market correction, as many people did, in the 2008, 2009. And something unique about my business and life at the time, though, was my business partner passed away in 2008, the same month that the financial markets crashed. So thank you. It was doubly challenging, if you will. Many people found ways to come out of the financial crash and go on to meet with success. But I had the added challenge of taking over a business and losing my partner. So I am a very gritty person and resilient. And so I set about rebuilding the business, and my current business partner, Lizzie Conroy, joined me in 2009. And that was another aspect that was kind of unique to me in my growing the business. And so as time went on and we met with great success, and we continue to, many people asked me how I did it. And so I started doing coaching and speaking and training. And in that, I heard frequently from people that they didn't have enough time.
Yeah, that is a common thing. People, I don't have time. I'm always busy. I don't have time. I am always busy.
Yes. And I was like, well, everybody has the same amount of time, right? And if you really get philosophical about it, time is actually a created thing. It was Lao Tzu that said 2,000 years ago that to say you don't have time is like saying you don't want to. So to break people's, or to help people overcome their limiting beliefs and their resilience to thinking it was time that was causing them not to be able to pursue business development, personal development, I said, well, do you have 5 minutes a day?
Cool.
And invariably, everybody has 5 minutes a day. And it turns out that is actually Parkinson's law. I've become somewhat of a time guru with all this journey I've been on. Parkinson's law states that limiting and restricting time actually can help people become more effective and efficient. And that is what led to the idea, the concept of 5-minute success. So I went on to write a book, Real Estate Success in 5 Minutes a Day. I had the same limiting belief, but if you're going to write a book on time, you have to I had to recognize it for what it was, and that the person who was stopping me was me. Again, back to the Lao Tzu quote. So I found that to be empowering. So I'm here to share empowering messages to your community in the sense that you can change yourself. You see, when people say they don't have enough time, they're often looking for something exterior to change, their circumstances to change, the market to change, people in their lives to change, something to change, and then they think they're going to have more time.
Yeah, but what I see is people when say that they don't have time or they're busy because to them it's not a priority to do certain things at a certain time, you know. So if you want to see someone and they say they're busy, it's basically they're saying I don't really care, I don't want to see you now. Maybe that's one of the things, or they like they're doing or wasting their time, let's say, on things that actually are not important, but they see them important. For example, an entrepreneur or a business owner maybe is doing something that is not revenue related or brings the sales. So this is the one thing that actually pushes the business forward and make it grow, and focusing on other things that are not actually pushing the company forward or driving the company forward.
Oh, that is a great segue into the 5-minute success concepts, because what I found in writing the book is that even the book is written as a daily reader and designed that way because, again, 5 minutes a day, you want to do something, in this case, read something that is going to give you inspiration, motivation, information that's going to then have some impact on your business or life. And so I was working with my book developer publisher, and he said, well, there's got to be some structure to this, because people who achieve a high level of success usually have systems that they follow. And I said, well, yeah, it is some 4 key aspects. The first one is, as you said, the business development, prospecting, lead generation. Because really, before anything happens, there has to be a lead. In entrepreneurs, it could be an idea. In sales, it's a customer or client. Even a dentist has to have patients, right?
Yeah.
They call it business development or client care. So everybody does some form of reaching out in order to make things happen. And then what happens is you have this idea if you're an entrepreneur, you have a lead if you're in sales, you have customer client to work with, then you go through some sort of process. So there's usually something that takes place that then leads into transaction or business on the other end. So, for example, the entrepreneur has an idea. They may, find people to fund the idea, investors. They might find, IT people to, create the technology. In sales, it's often what many people call conversion. It's this taking the customer through the process so there's actually, money on the other end, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
everybody does that. Everybody does this consult to sell, this conversion. Then the next thing that I find is key is what often happens with salespeople, entrepreneurs, is they get a lead or they get an idea or they get a concept and they take it through, and there's business that happens, but then they wake up the next morning, they do it all over again. They get on oftentimes a hamster wheel. They're only as good as their next deal. And there's principles for creating what I call connect to build and grow. That's leverage, skills, systems. It's to put in place what will create a sustainable, ongoing enterprise. And those are the key aspects of what I find is business and entrepreneurial success. But what I've also found is that people that achieve at a high level, they have the mindset, motivation components of success, thinking, activities, and vision. So they have a vision, like if you think of Branson and you think of, Elon Musk, and a vision of Bezos and Musk had, Branson had this vision to go, to space. They thought about how to do it, and then they did the actions to make it happen. Some people have vision, some people think about it, and maybe that's like affirmations, but they don't take the action to actually.
Yeah, the action is the most important thing. If you got the knowledge, you have got to apply on it. But speaking of when you're speaking about 5 minutes of time, does that mean are there, for example, certain habits, because you're only talking about 5 minutes, so it's a very small chunk of time, but sometimes, is it like if you would ask someone to do something, sometimes they would say like, I don't want to do it. Is that because they don't have actually the time, or they don't feel like doing it, or they don't feel like they have the energy to do certain things,
A lot of people use, time as kind of a scapegoat cop-out for what is really maybe something else going on. And so I say we can explore that through coaching or mentoring as to why, because, but the 5 minutes is important for several reasons. One is that people who, they want to break the habit of saying they don't have enough time. It's studies have shown that actually doing something is more likely to get you going forward than what often happens is paralysis of analysis or just inertia. So what often happens with the 5 minutes is people start small and they build up. That's a proven habit formation. And then they're going to start to experience the benefits of the habit. So, or the new practice. And several things can happen with this benefits. One can be, it can be like a pebble thrown in a pond. Okay. It's like you have this ripple effect. Like you do this 5 minutes or you do this one action, and then that ripples out to other areas of your life and business. Some of it is more of a snowball, like it builds on itself. Sometimes it is, it can be even exponential. It could be compounding. It could like propel, and one idea can like propel to the next level. So, but the idea is to really there's a lot of research on tiny habits, mini habits, but the idea is to by doing this, starting small, you're more likely to have an impact. If you build a reading habit, which is what the 5 minute success in real estate does, then oftentimes what happens is by reading a small amount each day, and there's been eons of research and motivational and spiritual literature on this, but reading a small amount a day can actually have a more of an impact than like trying to read a whole chapter or a larger book, because that tsunami of information, I know, I'm sure you've had this experience, or the people in your community have. They've gone to a training, they've listened to a webinar, it's almost too much information, and they become overloaded, and then they don't remember anything, and they often don't put anything into practice, right? We talked about the action. So the idea is to give people the ability to break through whatever is stopping them from doing what they say they want to do and building these habits, and giving you some strategies, some tips, techniques on how it's been proven success for other people.
Yeah, great that you mentioned it, because sometimes when I do read books, for example, I look at first at the table of content and see if the certain title, so I will skip immediately to that chapter instead of going all the way back, all the way from the beginning of the book, because sometimes I find myself reading for an hour sometimes and going through the maybe 50 pages, for example, and what did I read on page 20? And I so I'm not the kind, I don't like, I don't know, maybe guys, when they read different than girls, because girls like to highlight things and stuff like that. I don't like to do that, but I started doing that so I would remember what the important things are here and there. But yeah, it's sometimes like you mentioned, having a little consistent piece chunk of time, or something to do like each day, to bring these kind of small habits every day for to be consistent for life, actually, right? Better than is like doing to read, for example, an hour a month, for example. It's better to read 5 minutes a day, like 1-2 pages, rather than to read 50 in a month.
Research has proven this, and the reason why is that you're more likely to absorb it, and then you're more likely to be able to implement it when you need it. Because if you're either going to training or you're reading for information purposes, but it's not implemented, then it's either entertainment or it's becomes wasted time, right? So and again, we're talking about personal and business development. Certainly there's many reasons to read and go to trainings for other reasons, but what we're talking about is what can have the most impact on people's businesses and lives for success long term. And these are proven strategies. And the other thing about time, you talked about the whole idea of priorities. So what is a priority to one person may not be a priority to another person. And
Yeah.
Einstein's the one that said it best, because he talked about the relativity of time. And he said that that if and this is why truly time is a created thing. When you think about how relative time is, when you are doing something that you don't want to do, or you find boring or energy sapping, like for example, being in a Zoom call that's boring, or sitting in traffic, or doing something that is, not going to help you achieve a higher level of success, we use language like, time stands still,
Yeah, it doesn't pass by.
or
Yeah,
right, or waste of time. It's just like it's very laborious. When we're doing things that we're passionate about, that we
time
love,
flies by.
we're
Yeah,
yes, you see, you know exactly what I'm saying. So when you think about that, when you're doing things in your business and life that bring you energy, because it's really energy. It's not time, it's energy is the currency of high performance. So when you're doing things that bring you energy, then they really are they're going to actually probably create for you more time,
mm.
because you will then be achieving at your highest potential. In real estate, we want, the objective is for land and property to be used at its highest and best use. And that's what I think about when I think about people and their time. And if you think about like, the idea of being in flow, or being in your zone of genius, those kind of ideas actually will help you achieve a higher level of success than just doing, the routine, boring, rote work that just saps your energy.
Yeah, exactly. That happens a lot. You can actually feel it when you are sitting down, and like sometimes it happened. I think maybe kids in school feel it. Is it time now for a recess? But when they are having fun, when they're playing, for example, sports or whatever, the class goes by very fast. But when they're taking, for example, a physics class, I don't know. And it also happens with us as an adult. If we are sitting in a place that we're kind of forced to being there, we're waiting for the clock. Oh, come on, let's go, and we want to go. But we're having fun, and conversation is funny. It's like 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours flies by, and oh, it's too late, for example. So yeah, these kind of things that you talked about are, like you mentioned, Elon Musk and these guys. uh, do they have this kind of time arrangement, or this powerful energy to keep achieving more things? And do you think, like, not only themselves but the people who they are hiring, basically, do they have these kind of things to take these companies to higher level of success for them?
Actually, I think that's a great example, because sometimes people think that it's a limited resource. And I think that what I found is that the ideas in the world or in the universe, they're going to go to the people that are open to them and capable of seeing, them enacted in the future. And oftentimes that happens with several people at once. And this is the example I want to give. I don't know if you've heard of the book Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. Her most famous book is Eat, Pray, Love, but she
Oh
talks
yeah.
about in Big Magic that there's ideas in the universe. Okay, that when the time has come, the ideas will go to people that the universe believes are capable and willing to figure out how to make them happen. And another point in time in history was when electricity was being invented. Of course, it wasn't being invented. It always existed. It was just that we had to figure out
How to use it, yeah.
how to use it, right? But there were three men, Westinghouse, Tesla, and Edison. They were all working in electricity and had different ideas about how to to channel electricity and use electricity. But it was the electricity wars all happened about the same time. So it really is fascinating to think, 100 years later, we're now seeing that in these three men. I think that people that are living in a self-actualized state, which is what Abraham Maslow talks about, when you're living in this attunement with and open to idea creation, creativity, that is where really we achieve and what
Yeah.
we're
But
created to
yeah,
achieve.
exactly. But sometimes I think people in general want, speaking of this Maslow model, people in general always want like to have the basic needs, which is like food, shelter. This is what the important thing is to them. Like now looking at a higher purpose or achieving more or getting more money or I don't know, whatever it is that if you tell them that you can build a business or make your business bigger or do this or do that, they stick, no, I'm fine with what I have and that's it.
I'm glad you brought up Maslow. I actually wrote a book, Flip Time, Love Life, based on the Abraham Maslow pyramid. And this idea, this very human, condition, if you will, to work their way up the pyramid. The basic needs, as you mentioned, the physical needs. And this really became very evident early on during the pandemic, the global pandemic, when
Yeah.
people's focus was on toilet paper. I mean, you don't get any more basic than that, right? And then the next need of safety needs. And really, truly, we're still very much experiencing that people have a huge instinctual need for safety. And then the next, being the esteem needs and relationship needs, and then self-actualization. This is what happens though when you work your way up the pyramid. Um, you you're not in those states, in the flow state, in the zone of genius state. You're in a more of
Survival maybe
a
still.
lower state of being, right? So that's why my idea, the book I wrote, was to flip the pyramid, to flip time. Start with self-actualization. What can happen with self-actualization is that you're living your best life, whatever that definition is. People have their own vision of what it means to be living in their flow state, in their zone of genius. You're more likely to be in better relationship with other people and yourself if you're in alignment with yourself. So those needs are going to be met. Your esteem needs are going to be met because you are going to be doing what you were designed to be doing. You will be living where you were meant to be. And what I found is that is the ultimate security. Because really, truly, if you think about it, there is really no exterior security, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. The outer world of yourself is something that you cannot control.
right. But if you have it in yourself, in your own heart and soul and mind, then you are ultimately secure. There is not enough toilet paper in the world that's going to make you feel secure if you don't feel secure inside, right? And then same with the physical needs, because what I find is that, and I'm sure there are situations where people have sickness or things that are, I'm talking about a normal healthy person, but your physical needs, if you are achieving living at your highest self, your physical needs are going to be met because you are going to be performing at what you're capable of performing. And I found in my business, when I began focusing on self-actualization first, and again, I started small and built up. So I'm not
Yeah.
proposing everybody start it, but 5 minutes a day, just start small and build up. And what I found is that my relationships improved phenomenally. People are like, Karen, you're yourself, you're not like trying to be something other people or whatever, but what I thought people wanted me to be. And my business actually doubled. I believe it doubled because I could release a lot of the limiting beliefs I had. I could release a lot of my fears and concerns about what people would think or what would happen, even during very challenging times. I'm not saying this was, I've had a husband in the hospital with cardiac. I've had, obviously a global pandemic. I've lived with that too. So it's not that there wasn't anything that happened externally, but because internally, I felt like I could figure it out. I'm creative, I'm resourceful, I'm whole. Whatever happened, I could go forward and learn, grow, and become better than before from everything that happened. And I feel like that is a state of being that when people, live in that they really are, that is the, the highest level of living.
Yeah, exactly. So, tell us a little bit about more about your book. Are there certain steps that you, for example, recommend for people to build, for example, certain habits with these 5 minutes that they do?
So as a parable, as a tale. And the reason why I wrote it in that genre is because I wanted people to see themselves living what's known as either the hero's or heroine's journey. I don't know if you're familiar with Joseph Campbell, but there's a lot of mythology and a lot of literature is based on the idea that, for example, Star Wars is a hero.
Can you just begin from the start?
Spoiler
Because begin from the
I
start.
lost
Your
you.
answer, yeah, you lost me for like a minute or so.
Okay. So the idea of the heroine's journey or hero's journey, the hero's journey was Joseph Campbell has written extensively on it, and it's in a lot of literature and movies. For example, Star Wars is a hero's journey, Luke Skywalker, and Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz is a heroine's journey. And on this journey, the hero or heroine goes out on their calling. He calls it a call to adventure. I say, well, sometimes it's a call to creativity, sometimes it's a call to contribution. They go out on this journey. It's kind of like a quest, if you will. And on this journey, you meet mentors. For example, Dorothy met, Glinda the Good Witch, but you also often meet challenges, right? She also met the Wicked Witch of the West and the Winged Monkeys. She had friends along the way. She had the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, and the Lion. But she went through this challenge, right? And what she discovered along the way, the gift for her, what she discovered was she had it inside her all along, right? Well, and Luke Skywalker realized that too, right? That's what this journey takes you on. You realize you're capable, you're resourceful, that you can go on this journey, and then you return to your community, usually bearing gifts. You have something to contribute back. The amazing thing about a hero or heroine's journey is it isn't a one and done. It isn't like, okay, I conquered that and I'm gonna,
it's a continuous journey. It's a process.
It is.
Success is not like something that you do it once and you're done.
Right. I mean, think about the people we talked about earlier. I mean, Branson and Musk and Bezos, they're off on their next journey, right? They feel a calling. A lot of it they're doing is making contributions to society, right? To science, to future, furthering what we as humankind are capable of doing. And people that have those, but everybody has some calling. And so the idea of the book was written as a story, so you would hear yourself in that story, and that would inspire you.
Great. People love stories, and because they can put themselves in that place exactly, right?
Parables often are easier to recall. You're more likely to remember a parable as an example of, okay, this situation happened to me. Oh, the heroine in the story, this happened to her in the movie, and then you can relate to it and apply it in your life.
Yeah, exactly. So what would you say, Karen, one takeaway from this episode?
The one takeaway is if I can do it, you can too. Really, truly. I want to reach your community with that message because it's a success grid community and I'm the, 5-minute success. And so I really am honored to be here with your community today.
Awesome. Where can people get in touch with you, Karen?
So everything is the number 5-minute success. So that's the website, social media, and you can find the books on Amazon, also on the website. And the 4 books are Real Estate Success in 5 Minutes a Day, Commit to Get Leads, 66-Day Challenge, Consult to Sell, 66-Day Challenge, and then the Heroine's Journey book, Flip Time, Love Life.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Karen, for being with me on this episode of the Success Grid podcast. Thank you.